Good morning. Today is December 31st, 2019. This is Clear Passage Prayer Line. The title of the message today is, Which One Would You Rather Be? Which one would you rather be? I'm going to give you some scenarios. And also, when I give you guys the scenarios, just think of when you see something or you see something going on, hold on, and you see something going on, sometimes we look, especially in church, we look down our nose at people and go, oh, I wouldn't do that. You don't know what you would do in a given situation. So which one would you rather be? Let's go in a hospital. Would you rather be the one going in to see somebody or the one on the bed needing to be prayed for? Would you rather be the one going in to pray for them or the one in the bed needing to be prayed for? Let's go in a situation. Let's just say all of us, we're going to all go there. Let's just say you are in and you have to be, and some of you guys are in relationships, and some of you guys are married, and some of you guys are not. But let's just say you get in a situation where a series of circumstances, and you are in a compromising situation. So each one, just put yourself there. Okay, I'm gonna give you a scenario. Let's say you have been in a situation, and just say you get drunk. And I know none of you guys on the call get drunk, but say you got drunk. Say that you get in a compromising situation. You're not quite sure how you got there, but say you have a husband or a wife that you really love. Say you have a husband or wife you really love, and now you're in a compromising situation, and they catch you eyeball to eyeball, right there in the act, just like that woman that they drug out, that they caught in the act of adultery, the one that Jesus was told them, who he that's without sin cast the first stone. Let's say you get caught. Okay, the sin is there. Would you rather be the one seeing it and catching them, or would you rather be the one that got caught? If you've ever been caught in sin, you would rather be the one that saw the thing rather than the one that did the thing. And the reason I say that is the enemy, when sin happens, the enemy gets a chance to beat up everybody. And he gets a chance to go in and beat people up and work them over. Or if you have, let's say we have mothers that have had welfare checks and have taken their welfare checks because of their addiction and spent it, and then don't have food for the kids or don't have rent to be paid. Now there's a whole lot of that caught in the act situation has created a crisis for everybody. But which one would you rather be? Would you rather be the one that's needing to lend her the money or give her the money or help her, or would you rather be her? You'd rather be the one giving it out. Let me explain. When people get caught in situations, they feel bad, and so the only thing that can happen is they'll have this is why when you're bringing people into church, you're dealing with this thing. You have to be careful because it's a very sensitive area. God hates the sin, but he loves the sinner. He hates the sin, but he loves the sinner. And you have to be able to understand, there by the grace of God, when you see somebody laying on the sidewalk and you're going to consider, you're thinking to give them money, always think, which one would I rather be? Would I want to be the one on the sidewalk needing the money, or would I want to be the one giving the money? And then the second question is, how far would you go to help somebody, and how far did somebody have to come to get you? Because remember, he says, much is given, much is required. There are those people that are called to go into the strip joints, to go into the bars, to go into what is that man's name that carries the cross? It'll come to my mind. But anyway, he carries a big old. Yeah, Arthur Blessed. Arthur Blessed was carrying a big. He's carried a big cross around the world more than once, and he said he saw a sign back in the '60s. That's when you used to have go-go clubs, and it said "Sinners a go-go." And he said the Lord told him to go in there. There's plenty of sinners in there because he was trying to save souls. And Arthur went in and cut a deal with the owner of the club. If on Saturday you would give me 1 hour from 12 to 1 or however much, but it was midnight. And the guy said, sure. I mean, what could it hurt? What could it help? Because they're drinking in there anyway. So if you could make something happen. And he said he got a lot of people saved that way. But he went in the clubs. Somebody has to go in. Somebody for the kingdom of God's perspective, somebody has to go the miles. Somebody has to go the distance. Somebody has to go in and get that other person. So when we have, we have churches all, and I'm not, just saying in general, we have churches all over. They're going to go but so far. They're gonna pray, but don't let them look too raggedy when they come up to the altar. Don't let them need too much help. Don't let them be too out of sorts, out of an area we're not used to working with. Then you're only going to get the clean dressed up. If you think the clean dressed up make a good income people to join your church, the ones that drive a certain kind of car, certain kind of people that you're going to let into your church country club. You're going to let them come in. You want a certain kind of person to come in, and Jesus died for everybody, not for the kind that you're looking for, not where you drove the line and said, okay, I'm going to take this kind and not the other kind. It's by the grace of God when people have situations happen in their lives, especially when you're looking at them. You have to know, love the sinner, hate the sin, but you got to. This is why we sit before God, and when we pray, you can hate sin and still have an extreme amount of compassion on what needs to happen, on the conversation, on what needs to happen. There was a surgeon that, and this, I think I've said this story before. He was in a snowstorm, and the traffic was blocked off and the roads are blocked off, and he needed to get to another hospital to do a life-saving surgery for a patient. And the surgeon walked the 6 miles to get to the other hospital and got there and did the surgery because he had to save somebody's life. So it wasn't enough that he went to medical school. It wasn't enough that he got all his degrees and certifications and everything. And he wasn't a prima donna surgeon. He had a job to do, and he went the distance to get the job done. And the question comes in again, how far will you go, and how far did you want someone to have to come for you? How far would you want somebody to swim out to get you? And we've said this before, but the compassion goes a long way, because we tend to go, oh, that's them and it's not me. You don't know what you would do. I'll give you another situation, and think about it. There was a couple of situations. One lady had to take her daughter to school. This time she took her daughter. It was a change in the program. The father usually takes them. She took the daughter, left the daughter in the car, and didn't know till 3:00, and her baby died. But now think about it. Just think what happens when that kind of thing sits on you and weighs on you. Think about if you've ever done something where you needed somebody to forgive you. Think of what guilt feels like. It makes you form a whole nother personality so you can tolerate yourself. You can actually live with yourself. So think about what happened on the breakdown with that woman realizing she left her daughter. Again, which one would you rather be? Helping her or be her? There's another nursery school teacher who left a whole bunch of kids in the car, and a few of them died. And when they had the news camera, she was saying, Lord, why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you tell me I left him in the car? She was beyond consoling. It wasn't even about nursery school. She loved the children, obviously, and she was beyond consoling. And there's people go through some things. So when you're watching somebody struggle with sin, when you're watching somebody struggle with guilt, and you're watching them struggle, you have to figure out which one do you want to be, because circumstances in your life could set up where you are that person. And always before we look at somebody and go, oh, I would never, you don't know what you would do given a certain situation, circumstances, or substance. As human beings, you can't say what you will or will not do. But what you can say is, as you watch other people go through situations and struggle through and press through, especially if they're wrong, When people are wrong, the title of this message is "Which one would you rather be?" But we're talking about sin in the camp as well. But which one? But when they're when we talk about sin in the camp and God's cleaning house, that one right there that was very serious. Which one would you rather be? Looking for it or the one hiding it? You'd always rather be on the other side of the situation, and be compassionate, because realize and know that could be anybody in any given situation. The reason I'm saying this is that when you look at situations from the kingdom of heaven's perspective, from God's perspective, not from your personal perspective. And when we're looking at these two scriptures, that we had these yesterday, but we're looking at these two scriptures, you can be the one forgiving, or you can be the one needing forgiveness. You can be the one forgiving, or you can be the one needing forgiveness. You can be the one helping, or you can be the one needing the help. You can be the one borrowing, or you can be the one lending. But somebody's going to be on one side or other side of the transaction. So which one would you want to be on? When we start talking about the kingdom of heaven's perspective, what is God's take on it? What does he have when he has a bigger agenda? And sometimes when we are thinking, and it's a maturity factor, but when we're thinking of me, my, how I, and everything from we didn't ask God, what do you want? How can my life, how can my family, how can my expertise best benefit you, Lord? How can it best benefit you? And you'll be surprised at how big your world will get if you get in the position where you're thinking of it from heaven's perspective and not from your own. So, for example, there's dozens of situations where if you look at it from God's perspective and actually say, Lord, this is what I have, this is who I am, use me. What am I? And not you using yourself. For example, when I'm talking about ETM Media or the magazine, we were doing fine, but then as soon as God got a hold of it, it took it to a new level. We were doing our own thing, things were happening, moving along, and as soon as he got a hold of it, he busted it out and took it to a whole new level. And it's used for him. He's got it's his complete access, whatever he wants to do with it. But and he's blowing it up. He's doing some wonderful things are happening. But it's when it shifted from being me, my, I. Just when you're talking, how many me, my, I think, I feel, I when you're hearing all that, that's all about the person. When you're hearing me, I, how I think about it, what I feel about it, you really, when you got all that going on, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And when you take a situation and literally give it to God, not processing. Now, when we were talking about the situation where you're driving down the car and you're driving. Now God can drive. He can take you down the road, but you're driving. You're in control. You are looking at all the stop signs. You're paying attention to all the houses. You're looking at the road from your perspective. You're in charge. And then you will, if you get lost or the thing gets precarious, then you let God drive. But as soon as you think you know where you're going, you jump back over there and take over the wheel. We talked about this many times. But when you're actually asking him to do something, it's not only are you not driving, he's driving, it's his car, and you're actually asking him, where are you guys going? It's not you taking him down the street with you. He's taking you down the road with him. He is in charge of the whole process versus you asking him to tag along in your process. When you actually hand it over, it all becomes, and we've talked about this before, but it all becomes his show. It all becomes totally his. Now, why am I saying that? Because right now, many of you have things that you can function in pretty much by yourself. And then you have some things that you can hand over. And as you hand it over, in order to hand it over, it requires you to step down and allow God to really take over the situation. Now, not take over it where you say you're looking over his shoulder telling him how to do it, but for him to really take over it, you hand it over. You know, Samuel was not even conceived until his mother begged for a child, begged for a child, begged for a child, and then Samuel was conceived after she cut a deal. After she said, "Lord, if you let me have this child, I will give the child to you." Then Samuel came. Then Samuel came because then now this thing now it's not about her. When you hand your situation, your life, your job, your career, your talent, your whole family, your whole household, when you hand it over to the Lord, then it becomes his. It's his responsibility. It's not you trying to work. You're not trying to drag him to bless your plan, but you are giving all that you have, all the broken pieces, all the brokenness, all the stuff that you don't know how to fix it anyway. You're giving it to God and say, Lord, it's yours. I don't know what to do with it. I'm giving it over to you. Your children. We have all kinds of, you guys have all kinds of situations that you're trying to work on it and fix it. How about now, this year, before the year is out, this year, hand it over to him. It's broken anyway. Can you fix it? No. So can you fix your kids? No. Can you fix your spouse? No. Can you fix your boss? Your job? No. And you keep praying for the thing, praying for it and praying for it. How about put the whole thing, get the box that you bought it in, put the thing in the box, put it back in the box. We're going to do an exercise. So you got your box, put your kids in there, put your spouse in there, find the receipt, stick the receipt in there, put it in the bag and take it back to the store. Who's the store's Lord? Take it back and say, here, I cannot handle it. I don't know what it is. I don't know what I'm doing. I admit I don't know you don't know what you're doing. You can't fix it. You can't do the deep work that needs to be done. You can't do the healing, go back and retrieve the history, heal the hurts from God knows when it all happened. You can't do all of that. Hand it over to him. Like I said, put it back in the box, put the receipt in there, put it in the bag, take it to the counter. Lord, give it to him. And for anything you have that you've still been struggling with for this whole year, struggling with last year, still having the same arguments, the same repeated conversations. If it's a situation like that, God doesn't keep you in a loop of despair. He doesn't keep anybody in a loop of despair. You can't fix it. If you can't fix it, then you need to put it back in the box, the manufacturer's box, and take that whole thing over to the counter and give it to God. Hand it over. And whatever he tells you to do with it, do it. Just like when Jesus was, they had ran out of wine at the wedding, and Jesus was sitting there, and Mary, we went through the whole scenario. Mary was like, oh my goodness, my friend ran out of the wine. What am I going to do? And Jesus was there with his whole entourage of people. And then Mary goes, pulls Jesus back in the kitchen, like, look, she ran out of wine. We have a problem. And Jesus was like, woman, my time has not yet come. I'm not, this is not my time. And she didn't, again, you guys heard me tell the story many times. She didn't go to Jesus and go, oh, well, would you do it this one time? Do you mind? She didn't do that. She straight went, she pulled the mama move on him. She straight looked at the servants and said, okay, hold on, just watch this whole scenario. He's telling her it's not my time yet, meaning she knows what he's capable of doing. She's seen him doing it at home. She's seen him heal people. She's seen the wisdom. She's seen the anointing. She's seen him in the household doing all the Jesus stuff he was doing before he busted out with his ministry. His ministry time has not come. He said, woman, my time is like why are you sweating me? It's not time yet. She did not ask him nothing. She turned to the servants and you can see her holding her hand up and say, oh, no. And look to the servants and tell them whatever he tells you to do, do it. Whatever, she don't know how he did it, how he worked it, but she knows he's capable and he was going to do it. So she said, she just skipped it over. Whatever he tells you to do, pointing to Jesus, whatever he tells you to do it. And then she went back into the party, knowing that was getting ready to happen. He probably did all kind of stuff at home. You have no idea what kind of miracles he was doing before he revealed his ministry. You don't just start healing people the first day right then. He was been doing all kind of stuff for a really long time. So he did turn the water into wine, and it was the best wine. So when you put your person, your project, your problem, your job, your boss, your own bad attitude, your own temper, your own situations, the different ones, the stubbornness, whatever it is that you got you stuck, put it in the box, take it back to the counter. Lord, I do not know how to fix it. I don't know what to do. And then at that time, whatever he tells you to do, do it. Whatever he tells you to do with the project you just gave him, do it. Now what that does, it puts you in a point of humility, because you stop murmuring and complaining, and you stop tripping about it. We should not be having the same conversations that so this basically you should be having the same conversations that you had this whole year. But basically, if there's anything in your household, in your life, in your family environment, in your whole situation that has been a thorn, that has been agitating, it's been difficult, that you've been struggling with, put it in the box. Put it back in the box. Put it back in its original package. Hand it to the Lord. Say, now we're going to start over with this. I'm handing everything over to you, and whatever you tell me to do, Lord, that thing I'm going to do. That thing I'm going to do. Now, if you trying to write a book and you got stuck, put it on the altar. If you're trying to decide, if you're in church and you have relationships or things that have gone awry, you stop talking, you stop acting, you get out the way. Just stop, period, and let God take over. Put it back in the box and give it to him, and let him start it from scratch. And whatever he tells you to do, be willing to do that thing. Whatever he tells you to do, be willing to do that thing. If you give God things, he will fix it. But that doesn't mean you guys co-fix it. You have let go of the reign. You have let go of being in charge of it, and you have handed it over to him. And whatever thing he decides to do, he'll do that thing. Sometimes before God will fix your children, fix your marriage, fix your household, fix your job, fix your career, fix if you have an addiction. Before he fixes all of that, he will require you to cut a deal, and that deal will be something like this: Lord, if you fix it, you can own it. You can have it. If you fix it, if you save my child, I'm dedicating his life to you. I'm handing him over to you. If you save my job, I will make sure I tell somebody about the Lord. I will do such and such. If you do this, I will do that. It always requires you to hand it over to him, not ask him to patch it up so you can manage it, but let it go and give it to him. If you do this, we will serve you. If you do that, we will give it to you. If you give me a child, I will give the child to you. If you give me back this, I will give this thing to you. Cut a deal. Give it to God, and then you have the miraculous happen, because now it don't belong to you anymore. So he'll do whatever he wants to do. Now, what does that require? That requires you to do whatever he tells you to do. Whatever he tells you to do in your process. If some of you guys are talking about stuff you've been praying about, like I said, literally straight for a whole year. But sometimes when we pray, we're praying from our perspective. Lord, fix it. We tell him what to do, how you want it, how you feel about it. You're all up in the middle of it. And where is God going to fit in there? You have to cut a deal. So we're going to ask the Lord, this is the last day of 2019. And what I want you to do is leave whatever you need to, whatever is left that has not been prayed over or fixed or addressed, whatever's left, put it in the box, the manufacturer's box, which the Lord is the one that made all these situations. Put it in the box, give it to him, and say, Lord, this is yours. It's not mine. And now that it's yours, you tell me what to do to fix your thing. It's his household, his child, his spouse, his job, his book. It's his everything. Give it to him. Give it to him and get out the way and let him fix it. And then you just be the co-pilot, and whatever he tells you to do, do it. But give it to him. Because, see, when you give God something, he'll strip it down and fix it. You give him a car. You give him whatever it is. He'll strip it down. He will fix it and make it all new, and he'll use it. He will use it to his glory. So if you want to save it, give it to him. Something you're trying to save, give it to him. Just hand it over. Don't even try. Children especially, teenage boys especially, children in their 20s, your grown children, give it over. Lord, I don't know what to do. So standing in authority as either parent, child, spouse, employee, whatever covenant you enter, your covenant with that thing gives you authority. I don't have control over it anymore. I don't want control over it. I'm going to take this thing and I'm going to give it to you, Lord. I'm handing it over. And now, by the end of this call, you should actually not have anything that's yours. You shouldn't have anything that is yours. Anything that you have, this is taking us to the second part of this message. You shouldn't have anything in your possession that belongs to you. You and all that you own should belong to God. You and all that you own, all that you come in contact with, should belong to God. If you want those extraordinary blessings, you got to hand it over. Because God doesn't release the extraordinary, profound, wonderful blessing to something that you're going to take and use for your purposes. He releases blessings and the miraculous for thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Thy kingdom come. That's when you ask him for stuff. Give me, whatever it is. Thy kingdom come. But no, it's thy kingdom come, thy will. His will be done on earth as it is in heaven, not your will. Who are you, actually? Why are you get to boss the situation around? Who are you? Why are you in charge? Why are you in God's kingdom, breathing God's air, living on his land, living in his house, walking around with the feet, legs, and arms that he gave you, speaking with the voice that he gave you, seeing out the eyes that he gave you? And now how are you running something? You're not running anything. How this is what I'm saying about us as humans. We get real arrogant. How are you running something when he gave you everything to do the thing with? It's like somebody said, I forgot what this I can't remember what the situation was, but the guy was was trying to make something, and he said, in between him and God, he was trying to make something, and he said, and the Lord said, can you make this? And he said, sure. And then everything he asked for belonged to the Lord. So the air you need to function in, that belongs to God. So how are you living in God's life, in his kingdom, breathing the air and all that he gave you, giving him your opinion? How do you have an opinion when you can't even control your own heartbeat? You can't control your breathing. You are not in control. So the thing that you keep trying to get him to do, what are those last strongholds? What are those last things this year that you need to get cleared off your plate? What is that last little thing that's agitating you? What is it? Is it sometimes it's friends, sometimes it's parents, sometimes it's family members. What is the thing that's agitating you? Identify what it is. We keep doing it because I need you to finish doing this. Identify, if you're trying to lose weight, identify that. But be willing to do the answer. Don't understand you're cutting a deal. You are getting ready to cut a deal. So whatever that thing is that's got you perplexed, if it's somebody at your church, if it's somebody on your job, don't waste it on something small. Whatever that thing is, if it's life changing, if it really matters, if it's something you really need to do, find the box. We're talking in the spirit realm. Do it in the spirit realm in your mind. Just imagine the box. Put the person, thing, project, whatever it is, household, relationship, whatever it is, put it in the box. Put it back into the original box. If it's a bicycle, you know how we talked about bicycles, whatever it is, put it back in the original box. Put the receipt in there, which is something that God gave you. Put the receipt in there, and this is spirit realm stuff. Put the receipt in there. Put the top on it. Now, once you put the top on it, it's not yours no more. You have put it back in the original box. You have put the top on it. Take it over to the counter. Presence of God. That's the presence of God. Take it over to the counter and make this understanding. I don't know what I'm doing. I do not know what I am doing, but this thing has value, and I would like to have the value of it. So you need, Lord, I'm handing it to you. Fix it and fix me. Fix it and fix me. Whatever has to happen, I'm dedicating it and me to you. Fix everything, because I don't know what I'm doing. That's a bit the fear of God is the beginning of wisdom, but also taking your hands off of something you don't know what you're doing is the beginning of wisdom as well. It gets you a lot further, following God, and you don't know where you're going, than trying to tell him where to go, and you still don't know where you're going. But now you're just lost. So, Lord, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I have. I have something of value. I don't know how to fix it. I want to keep it. I don't know what it is. Some of you got jobs that you done went down there and acted such a fool that now you don't know if you're going to be able to keep the job. You forget the promotion. You don't know if you'll be able to keep the job. You've done some stuff. Some stuff has happened. But Lord, I'm broken. I don't know how to fix it. So I'm going to hand it over to you, the absolute entirety, in its entirety. I'm going to hand it over to you. I'm going to get on my face before you, and you tell me how to fix it. I'm going to hand it to you, and I'm going to get in there with it. And whatever you tell me to do, that thing I will do. Whatever you tell me to do, and dedicate it to him. Give it to him. I told you, God, if you give God a pencil, he'll accept it. And if you say, Lord, this is your pencil, and I'm only going to use this pencil for the glory of God. I'm only going to use this pencil to write things about you. That pencil will become consecrated, I assure you, in the courts of heaven and on your desk. That pencil is now the Lord's pencil. Now, don't use it for nothing else. If you told him I'm giving it to you, then that's it. You told him you're giving him your children, give it to him. You're giving him your household, give it to him. You're giving him your budget, you're giving him your bank account, you're giving him your life, you're giving him your time. Give it to him, and then do what he tells you to do with it. Give it over. Now, why is it so important? Because it's going to free you up from some stuff you need to go in 2020 with really just some new stuff. We talked about new stuff yesterday. This is how you get new stuff. Put the old stuff in the box and give it over to the Lord, and let him give you what he wants you to have and take away what he doesn't want you to have. But he's in control of your traffic. He's in control of your life. He's in control of your mind. He's helping you. Now, there's a couple things here. We talked about we're asking God for things. You know God is holy. And when you hand him something, there should be nothing. When you hand him something, the first thing you should hand over to him is yourself. Yourself, your household, and everything that belongs to you. Give it to him. And when I say that, there should be nothing in your house that you can't lay at the foot of the Lord, feet of the Lord. So whatever's if it's something in your house, something going on that you cannot put at his feet, you're going to block your blessing. Blessing blockers. What's a blessing blocker? Hidden sin is a blessing blocker. You can hidden sin is a blessing blocker. Hate, works of the flesh, hatefulness, adultery, fornication, coveting, backbiting, gossiping. It blocks the blessing. Anything that comes out your mouth that you can't say in front of the Lord, it's going to block your blessing. So before you start handing stuff over, clean house. Now, how important is sin in the camp? Let me see. When you know how he says the outer court, inner court, and holy of holies, that means there's rankings in coming up to him. There's rankings in the presence of God. Outer court. That's where you're out there talking. Something else outside the outer court is being all the way out on the front porch, not even being in the house of God at all. But there's the outer court, inner court, and then there's the holy of holies. And the outer court and the inner court and the holy of holies are all ways of men of. Now the holy of holies is where you cut the deal. That's where you're having the transaction. That's where you're transacting. That is where you are transacting kingdom business. That's where you're sending up prayers, sending up covenants, sending up discussions, and asking God to do a new thing. When you stand in the holy of holies, don't play. If it's sin in the camp, that's where you. Now, Ananias and his wife got struck down because they were standing in the presence of God, lying. Standing in the presence of God, lying about something they could have easily told the truth about. And that's how they got struck down. Now, if you think this is a joke, have a lot of people, even on the prayer line, that are really close to the Lord, and they know not to play with Him. Now this is going to come full circle. Playing with God. When we get ready to read Joshua, think about it. Would you rather be Joshua, or would you rather be the man that they found with the stuff in his tent? And look at what they did. Because God is, when He's really getting ready to move, He'll change some things around. He will really clean house. Before you can get a blessing, clean house. Don't serve God half, you know what, and then at just half doing it, and then want Him to give you the full blessing. But you're going to talk to God like, Lord, this is what I feel like doing. Take it or leave it, but I need you to do this big thing for me. That's how people pray, and that's how they function. They'll say, Lord, this is good enough for you. Here, just take my little 10 minutes. Take my 5 minutes. I'm going to throw you whatever I feel like giving you. But, I need you to change my whole life. I need you to do something big for me. God's not crazy. He's not crazy. He's not going to he doesn't even operate like that. But that's how we treat Him. We give Him the scrap time, just anything, back change out of our pocket, whatever we feel like doing, we just hand it over and tell Him to like it. And then, hold on one second. Hold on, guys. Go ahead. We're on the road today, so I'm not actually home. So when you're giving God the not your best, and He always requires your best. He always requires, even when there were sacrifices being made, He wanted the first fruit. He's a holy God, and we give Him the extra, part you don't want, the injured, the tarnished, spare time, not your best time, your spare time. You give Him the extra, you give Him, and when you give people things, even when you see people that are homeless or people that are in need, you give them your stuff and say, well, they should just be grateful for that. You should just be grateful for your life. You should just be grateful that He's spared you another day. Humility. You need to just be grateful that you're walking around and you're on the side of the giving side and not the receiving side. There's so much to be grateful for in this process. Humility is a big deal. Humility will take you all the way into the Holy of Holies. Realizing who you are in the presence of the I am that I am, not coming in with self-righteousness and pride, and wonder why the blessing doesn't happen, because sometimes we are standing in the state of standing in expectation is different than standing in entitlement. Entitlement means I earned it, I deserve it. Expectation, my Father's going to give it to me. And then humility and expectation, no, I don't deserve it, but I thank God He is giving it to me. And it's all about Him. It's all about Him. Okay, so when we talk about sin in the camp, I just want to couple of things. The reason sin in the camp is so important is you cannot get blessed when you have things that, if you look through your house, think about it, think of everything, look through your house, look through your heart, look through everything and say, is there something here that is an abomination or is not going to please God? Is there something I'm doing, something I'm saying? Is there something in my conversation? Is there something in my thought process that's going to counterbalance the blessing and the holiness, the consecration of God? If God wasn't holy, He would not have created an outer court, inner court, holy of holies. Outer court, inner court, holy of holies. The holy of holies means something. He separated it out, and it means something. It has always been life-changing. So much to the point that the priests had to have a rope tied around their waists and bells on the hem of their garments, so that they could, in case they fell out in the presence of God for whatever reason. Now, He doesn't operate on us like that. Well, actually, no, excuse me, He does, because Ananias happened in the New Testament. But it's a very serious thing. So when we get ready to read Joshua, what I'm saying is blessing blockers. What is blocking my blessing? Is there sin in the camp? Is there something in my life that I am holding on to, not giving up, trying to straddle the fence, trying to do a little God, little this, little that, little this, little. Is there something? Drop it. This is 2019, last day. Leave it on this side. Only you know what it is. Nobody. This is stuff that you can't see. And by the way, when we talk about doing or not doing, everybody's stuff is just as raggedy, but nobody can see it. Your sin, your life, your thought process has gotten just as raggedy, but nobody can see it. So if they can't see it, you think because they can't see it, it doesn't exist. It's there. They just can't see it. So, but God sees it. Okay, so when we go here, okay, here, this is, okay, keep that in mind. Your stuff is just as raggedy, but nobody can see it. Now we're going to go down and read Joshua. Joshua needed to know what happened. And this is what happened. This whole scenario ought to have you shaking in your boots. Do not play with the presence of God. If you're lucky enough to get in his presence, feel his presence. Know this thing. This God that this happened in Joshua, that's the same one we're talking to right now. That's the same one you get on your Facebook for right now. He's the same one. The same one.